Hi, I'm Bruce Diamond with the BMW Motorrad Club, Lehigh Valley Beemers, and I've been asked to make a video on how to get your route from the computer onto your BMW Navigator 5 or 6. These are the things I'm going to talk about in this video. First, a little bit about how to plan a route on the computer, which GPX file format to save it in, and a little of the differences between the file formats, how to get that GPX file from the computer or from your friend onto your Navigator 5 or 6. Then I'm going to mention the various Garmin smartphone apps and show you how to use the one for the Navigator 5 and 6. The first step is let's plan a route on the computer. There's several ways to get a route, and one is just to download something from the web. There's lots of sites that have best routes in this state, etc. Or a friend might share you one that he liked. You can also, on your computer, using your favorite app or website, make your own route. And of course, everybody knows about Basecamp. Some people like it. I'm going to tell you about the one that I really like myself, and that's my route app. There are a lot of others, so you can feel free to try as many as you can, and then just pick the one you want. But no matter which one you pick, the basic transfer mechanism is a GPX file that you're going to put onto your Navigator. All the Garmin products include Basecamp, which is Garmin's computer tool for planning routes and making waypoints. They call waypoints pretty much any favorite location that you want to save. And then you make a route by adding waypoints in a route in between them. The interface is a little clunky and it is not a well-beloved product, to be honest. It's very powerful, though, if you invest the time to really learn it. While there are many products available, my personal favorite is my route app. It's easy to make a route. There's all sorts of options. And if you have the premium product, you get to choose Garmin Maps or TomTom Maps or Michelin Maps or OpenStreetMap, all sorts of options in there. Also, I like how you can have various map designs. This is an example of the Michelin map, which is great for showing parks and especially mountain passes, which is great if you're planning a trip in Europe. Or if you just want to see the terrain of the land, there are topo maps and release maps available. Here's an example of the topo map if you really want to get down into the weeds. All of these planning tools use points on the map. Waypoints is the common one. Favorites. Some apps, like my route app, calls them favorites. Basecamp calls them waypoints, but basically they're points that you store in here. Now, these two columns here, the one on the left is a list of waypoint favorites in Basecamp, and the one on the right is a bunch of favorite waypoints in my route app. Now, when you're planning a route, you have two kinds of points on your route. One are the via points where you're going to stop, like stop to get gas, stop to visit a museum, stop at a restaurant. So you choose those. You can choose them from your favorites, or you can just look them up, search, and then put them on the map. The start and the finish are via points by default because you're going to be stopped at those two places. And when you plan the route, put a little flag or icon on the map screen. Now your planning tools can include the time. I like that in my route app, you can say, well, at this museum, I'm going to stop for half an hour. At this restaurant, I'm going to stop for an hour. And that helps you plan your entire day pretty accurately. When you export this route to your GPX on the bike, it will take you basically the most direct, fastest way between the 2 points. But of course, that's not what we want. We want to have the good roads, not the fast roads. That means we need to do shaping points. So there's an example where I modified the route away from the more heavily traveled roads into the roads that are more interesting. And I did that by dragging shaping points out here. If you look at point number 2, number 4, number 6 on the screen, those are shaping points. They're the which road to take between the via points or between the stopping points. When you're riding along, like when I leave the starting point here and I'm riding along, GPX can tell me the time and distance to the endpoint or the time and distance to the first stop, which in this case would be number 3. Then when you pass number 3, it will give you the time and distance to the next stop, which is number 5, a gas station. But it doesn't never tells you the time and distance to your next shaping point because you're not going to stop there. But as you're riding along, it will show as a little blue dot on the navigator display. Of course, if you plan this route as a route and you get off the track, it will recalculate to your nearest via point or shaping point. A little more about that on the next slides. Okay, great. So we got a wonderful route planned on the computer. How do we get it onto our GPX? Well, if you look at the little highlighted red box up there on my route app, I have 2 choices. I can save it or I can export it. A lot of the online or computer-based tools will allow you this. Basecamp allows this, export and save. The difference is when you export, you have the GPX, your navigator device, connected to the computer, and it will save it directly on your GPX, the navigation device, in the proper place for it to load. Save as means you can store it on your computer. So if you want to email it to a friend or just save it for later, and you can do that. So in this case, I'm going to do a save as. I click down and I have way too many options here. So let's look at which 2 or 3 that we're interested in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. The top one, GPX 1.1, and the next one down, GPX 1.2, are the ones that I use all the time. These are called route tracks, okay? And they have those points that we did, the shaping points and the via points, and pretty much that's all they have. And the idea is you transport that to the navigator device, and the navigator, while you're riding, will calculate the route to the next via point and the next shaping point, which is great if there are roads. If they're in the back country, maybe on a BDR trail, not so good. In which case, you're going to go down to the 3rd one on this list, the track, which basically just a line of points calculated on the screen of your computer that will then be sent to the GPX as a track. And it doesn't even really calculate point to point because it just shows the track on the screen and you follow the track on the screen. All these other ones that you see here, you can pretty much ignore for the BMW. So what is the difference between a route track and a track? Well, in a route track, you made a predefined route with waypoints for navigations. And your GPX device on the bike is going to do the turn-by-turn navigation with the voice and turn information coming from the device on the bike. So you can plan a trip and get your voice and text navigation from the device on your motorcycle. But the track only will not import directly into the Navigator 5 or 6. That's just not available apparently in theirs, or else I couldn't figure out how to do it. Leave it in the comments if you know how to do it. So it's not really a route from point to point, but it's a pre-recorded track. And you can put POIs in both of these and import them as POIs instead of routes. But I'm not going to talk about the whole point of interest databases because we're really just interested in making a route and following the route. Point of interest things, that's for a different time. But a track is not a route. So it's just a recorded track. The track is displayed on the navigator on the bike, and it displays the path while you're riding, but there's not really active routing because you don't really need it for a track because the points are so close together. Now you can follow the pre-recorded path without deviation. If you go off the route, you sort of have to find your way back to that track. Now this is definitely better for off-road because the dirt paths, the dirt single tracks are not going to be in the maps that are on the BMW Navigator device. It's also good if you want to repeat a ride that you did previously. So you did a wonderful ride, but you're not really sure which roads you went on, but you can load up the track from that ride and then follow it exactly. All right, so we're going to use the route track type of file. And these files can include POIs. We're really not going to use those in this video. GPX 1.0 is for the older units. It does retain the via points and the shaping points. but we prefer to use GPX 1.1 for the Navigator 5 and the Navigator 6. It retains the via points and the shaping points. If you use it for POI, it has the name and descriptions. This is the preferred method, even though there's a newer version called GPX 1.2, which came out with the Navigator 5 and 6. It is optimized for the newer Garmin devices. It retains the via points where you stop, but it's going to replace your shaping points with what they sort of call ghost points, and they're not as good. If you use it for POIs, it has extended descriptions and icons as well, but we're not doing POIs in this video. Okay, so why not use the newer 1.2 file format with the ghost points in it? Okay, Garmin's idea was that the ghost points will give you improved route adaptability, adjusting the routes dynamically, and to be more responsive to real-time conditions like road closures or detours. Well, detours are definitely an issue if you're in a crowded urban environment, but not so much where we are going to be. It has reduced forced routing. It's supposed to be more fluid navigation experience, preventing unnecessary calculations. They say this has better compatibility with newer devices for smoother transition between the waypoints. However, their idea of a smooth transition can be changing your route. Let me give an example. Have you ever had try to follow a GPX file and you're coming to an intersection and it says turn right at the intersection? And then as soon as you turn right, it says make a U-turn. You make the U-turn, and then it says now turn right at the intersection again. You're like, well, why didn't it just have me go straight at the intersection? Well, because that shaping point was not quite on the road. And that's why this happened. Now, the whole idea with ghost points is that won't happen because the GPS will figure out that that's what you meant to do. Unfortunately, it also figures out that you really probably would prefer the nice straight road in the valley instead of that cool little ridge road that's just from a map a little bit to the side. Well, we want the cool ridge road. So that's why I don't like GPX 1.2 file format. Okay, we're going to use a route track GPX 1.1. Let's get it into the GPS device itself. First way we're going to do it is by transferring the file directly into the Navigators 5 or 6. These are the steps I'm going to show. Plug the Navigator into the PC, open a File Explorer to the GPX folder on the Navigator, drag or copy the GPX file into the Navigator's GPS folder, close the File Explorer window, and unplug the navigation. Connect the USB cable to the Navigator device and then plug it into your PC. When you do that, you see that the Navigator starts charging and you get this screen, which shows that the Navigator is in the file transfer mode. We plugged the Garmin Navigator into the PC. So when we go to this PC, open it up, we see not only the Windows drive in our PC, but also the external drive, which is the BMW Motorrad Navigator 6. Open that up, and inside that are internal storage and memory card. We're going to put our GPX file in the internal storage, double click it. There's a file called GPX. Double click that to open it. This is where we're going to put the GPS file. Now I'm going to come over to this side where I have my library of various rides, and I'm going to choose the South Mountain Ice Cream Run. Just drag and drop it, and that will copy it over to the BMW Navigator 6. So that's it. I mean, all we have to do now is go back up, right click. Now, depending on how you have it set up, you might have eject here. If you have eject, that's great. If not, you can just unplug it, and there we go. The file transfer method I just showed you works on every type of navigation planning software. But if you're using something like Basecamp or My Route app, most of those programs / websites have a way to directly write the GPX file into the Nav V or Nav VI. And I'm going to show you how to do that using my route app. To use the export function, you'll plug the Navigator GPS into the PC, same as the file transfer type. But then you open the My Route app website or whatever software you're using that allows direct export. You'll choose export on the web page. The first time you do this, you will download and install an export connector application onto your PC. That you don't have to do that again, just one time. You'll choose the file export type, which basically is for whichever device you plugged in. And then after you're done, you'll unplug the Navigator GPS. Okay, so now I've loaded up my route app and I'm going to export it directly into the Garmin Navigator. This is not the same as Save As. If you click Save As, that's when you pick a file format and you save it to the local machine, as a file. But when you hit Export, their little connector pops up. Okay, so now the connector is actually a program that you download and install for your Windows or Mac OS machine. You only have to install it once. You absolutely need to have permissions to install programs on your computer to do this. Now, after you download and install it, then all you have to do is come down here to the Open Route button. You'll click that. You get a warning about this site is trying to open an app called My Route App Connector, which is a different program. That's where you get this. So just click the Open button here. It's okay. And there we go. And this is it right there. It's a little hard to see, but it's basically that you choose your device and then export it. So I'm going to pull down this drop down, and we have there's Garmin GPX 1.1, which we're going to choose. You might also be tempted to try BMW Motorbike GPX 1.2. Remember, I talked to you about the problems with 1.2 files. That's why I always use the Garmin GPX 1.1. Select that. Then I hit Export to Device, and it says it's busy. It's now being downloaded from the website into this program running on your computer, and then from there into the Garmin Navigator that is plugged into your computer. So we just got to wait a little bit for it to go by. Yeah, this is where I think maybe should have had background music. Definitely going to edit the video around here. And there you go. Once it's done, the little dialog box pops open. You click OK on that. Now you can close the little connector. It just stays there, unfortunately. It'd be nice if it went away on its own, but you can go ahead and close it because you definitely have the file installed on your Navigator device. Now you unplug the Nav VI from your computer and take it out to the garage, put it on the bike. There's one more step to do. The file is on the Nav V or Nav VI, but it's not in the Trip Planner app. So when you turn on the Navigator GPS device, you're going to be prompted to import the new routes found. Select the ones to import, and then you can check them out in Trip Planner on your GPS. We turn the GPS on. Of course, we have to agree to this legal stuff. And it says new routes found. Import to Trip Planner. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Tap the yes button. And here are all the ones that we have on there. So we have the original SR Ride, South Mountain Ice Cream Run we dragged over, and the Lehigh Valley to Square Root Rally. That's one that we exported from my route app directly to the device. And they're all here, no matter which way we transfer them. So I'm going to select all of these, hit the import button. And this reads the GPX file and puts it into the Trip Planner app on the Nav 6 or Nav 5. Each GPX file is an item in Trip Planner. Now, The SRR original GS Ride was a track, so it has a lot more than 29 VIA points. It was split into 4 trips because of that. Now, newer GPS devices can handle more than 29 track points. But this is one of the disadvantages of a track is that it gets imported this way and it gets split into multiple trips. But this is the difference between a track and a route. We don't have to do this with the routes. Okay, so now we go to the apps, we go to the trip planner, and we're going to see all 3 of those in here. There we go. The Lehigh Valley to Square Root Rally one, that's right there. That was the route that we had there. Now we can just click go and start navigating, or we can see what we have on the map. And why does this not end up at the Square Root Rally? Well, because I accidentally tapped an extra spot on the app. So after the rally, it has us going to a different place. I'm indoors, so I'll have to use the GPS simulator. So you can click go, pick your starting location, whether the beginning or the ending. We're going to start at the beginning, hit start. If you chose the ending, then your trip is gone. You just go straight to the ending and the trip doesn't matter. So always remember to start at your beginning. So, okay, so let's take a look at that track that we imported. Okay, that got split into 4 pieces. You can hit go and then again pick the starting point. It will calculate the route. Now this is 29 points in it, so it'll take a little longer to calculate. And since it is a track, you'll see how close together the via points are, and it can follow it, no problem. See, there they all smashed together. You click go, and then you could do the first quarter of the trip. This is a bit of an inconvenience, and is why importing a track as a route doesn't really work well. So just do routes. On the Nav 6, you're limited to 29 via points, which includes shaping points. So that's how that works. Anyhow, you're all set to ride the ride. Something else I'd like to talk about in this video is about the Garmin smartphone apps and which one you can use for the Nav 5 or Nav 6. There are 3 Garmin smartphone apps that are used for the Nav 5, Nav 6, the XT, the XT2, and the XT3. The Nav 5 uses the one called Smartphone Link. It has this yellow icon on it, and it will give you real-time traffic, weather, uh, safety warnings, like red light cameras and stuff, as well as allow you to send the destination directly from your phone to your Nav 5. If you have the Nav 6, you have one more thing that you can do. We can also have phone notifications show up directly on the Nav 6 screen so that you know when your wife or your boss wants to contact you. That's optional. You can disable that. The Garmin Drive app is only for the XT, and the Garmin Tread app is for the XT2 and XT3. Those are subjects for another video. The only app I'm going to talk about is the one called Smartphone Link. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first time opening the Smartphone Link app and linking it to the Garmin, also the permissions and what it can do for you. Traffic, weather, advanced weather if you want to pay the extra subscription. Select a destination on your phone and then hit a button so that it just shows up in your Nav 6 the next time you start riding. I downloaded the Smartphone Link app from the App Store, Google Play Store, and I installed it on my Android phone. So now I'm going to start it up, tap on that icon, yes to linking your email with it, pick the account if you have more than one, agree to the terms of use. You can go to the Bluetooth settings to confirm that your phone is connected to your Nav 6. You have to allow for Bluetooth to work. Now it's not connected yet. Now it just connected, NS1. That's the Nav 6 right there. If you want to change any of these, go ahead. I leave them all up there. Anyway, it's connected. So now what do you do next? Well, you have to allow the app to use GPS because that's what it's for. And it's going to ask you if you want everybody on Facebook to know where you are. Forget it. So here are the options. You can locations, contacts, weather, live traffic, cameras, weather alerts. Traffic is the most useful if you live in a city because it not only will show you here on your phone where the traffic is, it will be showing on the Nav 6 screen and it can route around traffic jams. The weather alert function is nice, but it costs $4.99 a month to get severe weather alerts. There is, however, a free weather option here, which will not only show up here on the phone app, but also will enable the weather button on the Nav 6 as long as your phone is Bluetooth connected. So let's search for a location. I'm going to click that little microphone in the upper right, and I'm going to say sheep. I want to go to find a Sheetz to get some coffee. So which one do I want? The one that's over in Montgomery sounds good. So I'll tap that one there, and there it is. And I want to send it to the GPX. So I send the tap button, and now it's trying to send it to the Nav 6, which is great, if I was near the Nav 6. Okay, let me go out to the bike and so that I can connect to the Nav 6. And when I turn the Nav 6 on, it will complete the sending of the destination to the Nav 6. The very first time you use this Smartphone Link app with your Nav 6, you have to make sure that your phone's connected by Bluetooth, and on the Bluetooth connection that the Smartphone Link is enabled. Okay, and as long as that's set up, when you turn the GPX on, your destination will appear. After turning on the Nav 6, it connects to your phone. Just say go, and there you are. You're on your way. You can start a new route, or you can add it to the current route that you're traveling on. Either way, you're on your way to a great cup of coffee and some gas. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you found it useful and that you will now be able to get those GPX files into your Nav 5 or Nav 6 and start following them. Also, I think you'll find that Smartphone Link app helpful, especially if you have to go in areas with a lot of traffic. If you want some more information about tech stuff, the Lehigh Valley Beemers, at this web address on the screen, we have all sorts of experts who will be willing to help you. Please check out the video about how to set up your helmet comms and get the Cenas and the Cardos working together. And thanks. And my name again was Bruce Diamond. I'll see you on the road.